Red Dead Redemption 2010. Red Dead Redemption doesn't ease you in. It throws a former outlaw into the modern world and tells him, "You want your family back? Go arrest or kill your old gang." No warm reunion, no heartfelt forgiveness. Just a grim ultimatum from the government, delivered with a straight face and a loaded gun. All this sets in 1911. The West is dying. Railroads, bureaucracy, and shiny shoes are replacing six-shooters and saloons. And John Marston? He's stuck in the middle, caught between two versions of America and two versions of himself. You play as John, who's trying to go from train robber to rancher, not because he's found Jesus, but because the feds are holding his wife and son hostage like it's a Wild West version of Taken. His job? Bring in three ghosts from his outlaw past: Bill Williamson, Javier Escuella, and the one and only Dutch van der Linde. Spoiler, none of them are exactly laying low. John starts by tracking Bill to Fort Mercer, rolls up with his cowboy bravado, and promptly gets shot in the stomach. Not the most tactical move. Luckily, he's found by Bonnie McFarlane, a rancher who nurses him back to health and immediately puts him to work mending fences, both literally and metaphorically. These missions are mostly press X to be wholesome, but yeah, it's a soft reset for a guy who used to lasso people off moving trains. After brushing off death and learning the fine art of cattle herding, John assembles a team of Old West oddballs: a drunken Irishman with a twitchy trigger finger, a creepy gravedigger obsessed with treasure, and a snake oil salesman who lies for a living. Basically the Suicide Squad, but dustier. Together they storm Fort Mercer, only to find out Bill has already fled to Mexico. Classic villain move. So John heads south to Nuevo Paraíso, where he finds himself in the middle of a full-blown revolution. And what does he do? He plays both sides like he's hosting a game show. He helps the corrupt tyrant Allende one minute, and then rides with freedom fighter Abraham Reyes the next. Not because he cares about politics. John's just trying to find his guys. Eventually, he tracks down Javier, gives him the old dead or alive treatment, and chases Bill into a final fiery standoff. Mission complete, almost, because Dutch is still out there. The trail leads to Blackwater, a city that's less cowboy and more men in black. Electric trams, tailored suits, and government agents with too many opinions. Dutch, now rocking a full cult leader with a cause vibe, is hiding in the mountains with a group of disillusioned Native Americans. His speeches are still poetic, sure, but his methods have gotten a lot more blow things up first, ask questions never. John teams up with the US Army, weirdly, and helps them push Dutch into a corner. In one final standoff, Dutch tells John, "We can't always fight nature," and then leaps off a cliff like he's auditioning for a shampoo commercial. John's done, his slate is clean. He returns home, hugs Abigail, sees Jack, and gets back to normal life. You get to fix fences again, chop wood, do some ranch stuff. It's all very peaceful, which in Rockstar terms is a huge red flag, because peace doesn't last. Edgar Ross, the slick-fed agent from earlier, decides loose ends are bad for business. He sends an army to John's doorstep. John holds them off as long as he can and then walks out alone, slow, calm, knowing what's coming. He's gunned down by a dozen rifles. It's not redemption, it's execution, but the story's not over. Years later, Jack Marston grows up, and like his father, he tracks his target. He finds Ross by a riverbank. One shot, Ross falls. Jack lowers the gun, and the cycle begins again. John wanted to outrun his past. Jack inherited it. In Red Dead Redemption, the West may die but vengeance, that part's alive and well. Red Dead Redemption 2.
It's goddamn shit! Look out! There's more! Up here, Dutch! Watch out! One up top in the window!
Before John Marston could even think about building a ranch, there was Arthur Morgan, the sharpshooting, journal-writing, quietly suffering outlaw at the heart of Red Dead Redemption 2. Released in 2018, this game was technically a prequel, but it doesn't feel like one. It feels like its own beast, deeper, darker, and in many ways more emotionally devastating than anything we got in RDR1. You play as Arthur Morgan, a veteran member of the van der Linde gang, Dutch's right-hand man, enforcer, and the guy who somehow balances robbing trains with babysitting grown men. The gang's on the run after a botched ferry heist in Blackwater, and from there, things only go downhill. Every camp move, every failed last job, everybody dropped in the name of Dutch's so-called vision. It all paints a slow-motion collapse of a family that once believed in freedom. And yeah, of course, it's not just shootouts and horse chases. Rockstar poured insane detail into this world. The weather affects your clothing, your hair grows in real time. If you don't clean your gun, it jams. If you don't wash, people react. Basically, it's the only game where you can rob a train, skin a bear, write poetry, and die of tuberculosis, all before lunch. And that's not a joke. Arthur's TB diagnosis midway through the game is the moment everything shifts. He starts questioning Dutch, his past, and his future. The honor system kicks in hard. Every choice feels like it matters. Are you going to help people now or stick to the outlaw code and go out swinging? Depending on your decisions, Arthur either dies a redeemed man under a golden sunrise or gets executed by Micah in the mud. Either way, it hits like a train. Speaking of Micah, the greasy snake. He joins the gang early and spends the whole game slowly whispering poison into Dutch's ear. For a while, we think he's the rat from the start, but nope. Plot twist. He only starts snitching after Guarma. It's a brilliantly reveal, and it shifts the blame just enough to make you realize maybe Dutch was the real problem all along. The epilogue shifts focus to John Marston, who picks up the pieces years later. He builds a house, proposes to Abigail, and eventually tracks down Micah with Sadie and Charles. What follows is a snowy standoff at Mount Hagen that ends with Dutch silently shooting Micah and walking away like a disappointed dad who's finally had enough. There's still a ton of side content, bounty hunting, and online chaos waiting after the credits roll. But narratively, RDR2 is a slow-burning masterpiece about loyalty, regret, and the death of the outlaw dream. Arthur may not have lived to see the future, but he sure made us feel it, one broken promise and gut-punching sunset at a time. Red Dead Redemption 3. Red Dead Redemption 3 hasn't been officially confirmed, but it's coming. Why? Because the hints are stacking up. Roger Clark, Arthur Morgan, and Rob Wythoff, John Marston, have both openly hinted at exciting things in the works. Without saying much, of course. Even a Rockstar developer briefly listed RDR3 AI systems on their LinkedIn before quietly removing it. Add that to Take-Two's own CEO saying the franchise will keep going as long as the demand is there. Yeah, this thing's clearly cooking. And apart from that, Rockstar has built a legacy with this series, and they're not about to leave that money and story gold on the table. With GTA 6 nearing its release window, all signs point to Red Dead quietly stirring in the background. The most likely direction: Jack Marston, the quiet, observant son of John and Abigail, the kid who watched the Van der Linde gang collapse, who lost his parents to government betrayal, and who ended Red Dead Redemption with a quiet, haunting duel by the river. Killing Edgar Ross wasn't just revenge, it was a tragic inheritance. Jack didn't choose this path, it chose him. And that's what makes him the perfect center for Red Dead Redemption 3. He's a character built for redemption or destruction. That's the tension, that's the hook. Unlike Sadie, who found peace as a bounty hunter, or Charles, whose moral compass is too sturdy to sway, Jack is young, angry, and tangled in a legacy he didn't ask for. He's the final link in the chain Arthur tried to break and John tried to escape. But where Jack ends up, that's the real story. Does he become the outlaw Dutch warned about? Or does he finally do what no one else could, walk away clean? Another strong direction is to start from the early days of the Van der Linde gang. Like a younger Dutch, full of charm and purpose, riding with Hosea and Arthur before the cracks started to show. There's even an in-game photo of them during that era, a subtle nod from Rockstar, perhaps. Exploring Dutch's slow descent from idealist to egomaniac wouldn't just be tragic, it'd be poetic. You'd root for him, knowing full well where it all leads. Whether it's Jack's bitter legacy or Dutch's hopeful beginnings, one thing's for sure. Red Dead Redemption 3 is poised to explore what the series does best: loyalty, loss, and the cost of freedom. It'll likely push deeper into the moral gray zone that made Arthur and John so compelling. And this time, the stakes are even higher. Because it's not just about redemption anymore, it's about legacy, and whether anyone can outrun it. If Arthur passed the torch to John, and John handed it to Jack, then Red Dead Redemption 3 is the last chance to break the chain, or tighten it for good.